You're watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. From Toronto, Ontario, I'm Catherine Bullock. Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace. Today, a conversation about digital anti-racism education in Quebec. But first, some news headlines. Freedom Convoy reaches 7th day, plans protest in Toronto. Memorial proposed for Muslim family killed in London, Ontario. Movement against Quebec's Bill 21 draws $20,000 from Winnipeg Mayor Brian Bowman. And Genocide games commence in Beijing as protests ensue around the world. And now, the details. The city of Toronto braces itself as the Freedom Convoy heads downtown on Saturday. The truckers demonstrating against the vaccine mandate will be making 7 stops around the city before settling in Queen's Park at 12 p.m. Mayor John Tory said the city will do everything to avoid a gridlock like in Ottawa. He says that the police have prepared for the protest and will safeguard roads leading to hospitals. Yesterday, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau stated that he will not give in to the demands of the protesters, and that at the moment, military forces will not be deployed. The City of London has proposed erecting a permanent memorial as a tribute to the Muslim family of 4 that was killed in June, in an effort to address Islamophobia. London City Manager Lynn Livingstone has suggested $150,000 be spent on a project consisting of a memorial plaza, a mural, and a community garden. Livingstone's recommendations also include creating an anti-Islamophobia advisory council and city funding for community anti-Islamophobia initiatives. A committee of city politicians will discuss the proposal at a meeting on Tuesday. Winnipeg Mayor Brian Bowman announced on Tuesday that he will donate $20,000 from his discretionary funds to the movement that will legally challenge Bill 21 in Quebec. His decision is based on his opposition to Bill 21 that bans people in positions of authority from wearing religious symbols. He had originally proposed the city contribute $100,000 to the cause without specifying the source of funds. Some councillors were opposed to sending taxpayer dollars out of the province. An amended motion passed unanimously last week allowed councillors autonomy to donate from their discretionary funds. Protests and demonstrations continue as the opening ceremony of the 2022 Olympic Winter Games began today. The United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, and Australia have each announced a diplomatic boycott of the Games over concerns about China's human rights record with Uyghur people. Hundreds of protesters in Istanbul and Tibet denounced the event, holding signs saying "No human rights in Olympic Games." The Muslim Council of Britain also released a statement referring to the Olympics as the Genocide Games. The Uyghurs are a predominantly Muslim minority in China that have been detained in internment camps until they renounce their Muslim beliefs and practices. And that's it for the news. In November, we interviewed a project manager from the Canadian Council of Muslim Women about a government-funded project on digital anti-racism education, otherwise known as DARE. Today we have an update from the Montreal chapter with Sister Samaa Elibyari. Welcome to the show. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Kati. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure, Sister Samaa. I understand this is a national project. Are you in charge of the project running in Quebec?
Well, we have a chapter of CCMW, the Canadian Council of Muslim Women, here in Montreal. And we did our workshop about the DARE project very recently during Muslim Awareness Week.
Tell the viewers who aren't familiar what Muslim Awareness Week is.
Muslim Awareness Week was conceived after the tragic events that took place at the Centre Culturel Islamique du Québec when an attacker stormed into a mosque, and during the prayers, he mowed down 6 worshippers, and he wounded many others. one of them was left paralyzed. After this tragic event, we realized that why are people here in Quebec hating us? What led to this attack? And then we came to the conclusion that we should have activities to let Quebecers know about us, the Muslims living in Quebec, rather than seeing the images on TV of Muslims in faraway places with always negative news about Muslims and projecting those images on us here in Quebec.
So how does the Digital Anti-Racism Project enter into your Muslim Awareness Week?
Well, the digital project is specifically geared to inform about what is Islamophobia, how does it manifest itself, and what means do you have to counter Islamophobia. So we found that this was a very powerful tool, the workshops that we were giving, and here in Quebec, we adapted them to the Quebec environment.
I'll ask you about that in a minute, but just a little bit more about the workshop itself. The Canadian Council of Muslim Women, you obviously applied for funding from the federal government. Was the workshop targeted only towards women, or were men as well attending?
The workshops were open to men and women. However, the material that we presented focused mainly on women. There were other statistics dealing with the Muslims in general, both genders. But what we focus on is the Islamophobia, the discrimination that Muslim women face.
And the workshops are intended to do what for the people who attended? What do they come away with?
They come away with the knowledge that those are incidents of Islamophobia. You have to recognize them. You have to be aware of where you can find them and then how to counter them.
And the workshop in Montreal, I know that there's Anglophone and Francophones. Did you do them both?
Absolutely. We have a French and English. So far, we gave the English workshop, and the French workshop is slated for the Semaine d'Action contre le Racisme, which is a whole week of action against racism.
Oh, that's a Quebec-wide week? Something
that's a Quebec, that's a Quebec wider week, and it happens around March 21st. So inshallah, we will be having our workshop during that week.
Inshallah. So for now, you've done the Anglophone one, and in coming, it will be the Francophone one.
Absolutely.
What was the tweaking that you had to do to the material for the Quebec context?
For the Quebec context, we had to look at how we are represented in the media. And specifically, there are radio stations, I would say popular radio stations, coming out of Quebec City that we call trash radio. And those are the most, I would say, corrosive, because they're very Islamophobe, and they build their news on misinformation, fake news, and this is unique to Quebec City. So we had to put some examples in our workshop and demonstrate how some words are recurring with a negative connotation, whether it's through interviews, through news, and again, as I said, with the projection on Muslim women here in Quebec.
I think trash radio is fairly universal. I don't think it's something only in Quebec City. Are these Francophone trash radio or English, Anglophone, or both?
No, they're Francophone.
So can you give us how do you say trash radio in French?
Radio poubelle.
Radio poubelle, yes. And what are some of the examples you shared in the workshop about the phrases that are being used, the anti-Muslim phrases? You can say it in French and then translate for us.
Well, the anti-racism could be going for the racism, I should say, would be seeing vandalism against our institutions. It could be just hearing insults on the streets, go back home. It could be discrimination at work. It could be laws that the Quebec government passed that would be discriminating against Muslim women, like Bill 21. So there are many shades of Islamophobia, and we have to recognize them. We have to say, okay, this should not be so. And how do you counter them? We also had part of the workshop geared to online hate.
And what were the attendees telling you, the people who came to the workshop? Did they share personal stories of things that traumatic racism events that had happened to them?
Well, actually, the workshop was virtual. So in principle, if times were being more favorable, we would have the people coming to the workshop and exchanging with us. Now, with a virtual event, it's more difficult. And the workshop is already long. So we stayed for more than an hour or something. And, when you're in front of a screen, this really discourages interchange and communication. And this is what we hope to do once the COVID restrictions are relaxed.
That's true. I know when people are in front of the screen, and sometimes they don't even put their cameras on so that you don't have that same connection and communication. What do you hope will be the next steps after you've done the Francophone workshop? What will be the next steps for this project?
Well, after that, I think we will repeat those workshops because they're quite popular, and I think they're very useful. And then we have a survey at the end of the workshop, so we'll get the feedback of those who attended, and we'll see how to take it from there.
Do you know someone who was forced to leave their job because of Bill 21?
Well, yes, there was this. I don't want to say famous case, but the last case of Fatima Ansari in Chelsea, who was prevented from exercising her rights as a teacher just because she was wearing a hijab. And actually, this case had a lot of resonance in Quebec because people start to realize, what is this? She was removed from her job just because she was wearing a hijab, and she was a very popular teacher. So the students wrote to her, and this case really brought to light the effects of Bill 21.
Yes, actually, we were fortunate to cover that in one of our previous episodes, and we were able to interview a non-Muslim woman who'd organised a rally in Chelsea against the Bill 21. It's as if the people didn't understand exactly what it meant. I mean, of course, Muslims and Sikhs and Jews understood what it meant, but as if the wider society hadn't clicked until that happened.
Well, it certainly gave a face, and it put Bill 21 in context. So, and although there's an ongoing case at the Supreme Court against Bill 21, people don't see this every day. I mean, a court case goes so slowly, but if you see a teacher, you have a face, you have a story, you have a real person that has been affected by Bill 21. And this is different. I think people connect when they know the person, they know about the person, they start to sympathize, they start to think about the implications of Bill 21. And
that's true. And unfortunately, we have to leave it there, but I thank you very much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you very much, Sister Cathy. Have a good day.
You too. And this is Canadian Muslim News from Muslim Network TV. Stay tuned for our next episode. Stay safe and God bless.